What do I need to recognize on day 1? Myeloblast, promyelocyte, myelocyte, band, mature granulocyte. Now say aloud: myeloblast, promyelocyte, myelocyte, band, mature granulocyte. You must tackle these names head-on in order to beat the intimidation. Say them out loud again. They will show up again. Where to count for your differential. Figure 1 shows a representation of a peripheral blood smear slide, with tips on where to count. Figure 2 shows a representation of a bone marrow aspirate slide, with tips on where to count. A note about terminology. You'll see the term trilineage hematopoiesis in bone marrow reports. We're being a bit technical in that even though these all come from a common myeloid progenitor, the 3 lineages or lines that we care about when we say trilineage hematopoiesis are megakaryocytes, erythrocytes, and granulocyte precursors. You also want to pay attention to all 3 of these lines in the peripheral blood. Look at the platelets, number and size. Look at the red cells, shape and grouping. Look at the granulocytes, nuclear and cytoplasmic features. Figure 3 shows the granulocyte maturation process in more detail and was skipped in the previous chapter. You absolutely need to know these intermediate forms for every bone marrow that you review. Moreover, you will see some of these in peripheral blood smears from time to time. So let's get to know them. The myeloblast matures to a promyelocyte, then myelocyte, metamyelocyte, band, and finally mature neutrophil. Each form has different features. Both the nucleus and cytoplasm change as maturation progresses. Myeloblasts often have scant to moderate light blue cytoplasm and a round to oval nucleus. Myeloblasts have fine chromatin. You will hear your attending talk about fine versus condensed chromatin. Fine chromatin is a nuclear texture that is mostly even in color and somewhat transparent. Condensed chromatin is chunky with variable darker and lighter spots. Promyelocytes are typically larger than myeloblasts. Promyelocytes will have abundant cytoplasm with lots of reddish granules, or primary granules, and a little Golgi Hoff. The nucleus will be rounded and may have a prominent nucleolus. Myelocytes have cytoplasm with granules that are more pink to orange, or secondary granules. The nucleus is rounded to slightly flattened on one side. Metamyelocytes have pink granules, but most notably, the nucleus becomes more indented, but to less than 50% of its diameter. Bands have pink cytoplasm with a nucleus that is curved more than 50% of its diameter. Mature neutrophils have pink cytoplasm and a lobulated nucleus. These different granulocyte precursor forms also exist for the eosinophils and basophils. However, we don't typically count them separately. For eosinophils, we just put them all in the eosinophil category. Basophils are below 1% of a typical aspirate, and so often do not appear to be counted either. There are some leukemic conditions in which you can see more frequent basophils, still usually less than 10%, but these occur only occasionally. For the erythroid or red blood cell perspective, figure 4, their order of maturation is proerythroblast, basophilic erythroblast, polychromatic erythroblast, orthochromatic erythroblast, polychromatic erythrocyte, mature erythrocyte. At our institution, all the nucleated forms are lumped into a large erythroid precursor category on bone marrow differentials. However, some other institutions count each nucleated erythroid form separately. Mature or anucleated red cells are not included in the bone marrow or peripheral blood differential. Finally, megakaryocytes, figure 5, also show maturation, but are not included on the bone marrow differential. The early megakaryocyte forms are smaller, have basophilic cytoplasm, and somewhat hypolobated nuclei. As they mature, the cytoplasm becomes more abundant and light purple in color. The nucleus also becomes more lobulated. Platelets are not counted in a marrow or blood differential.